I literally might switch to Lightroom. I'm already getting frustrated. Okay, so she needs to be a little warmer. Let's get like a little zoom on the face so that we can really see what colors we're working with. Yes. And for any of y'all who are curious, this is a queen in town in Minneapolis where I live named Utica, and we're doing weekly shoots. She's competing in a local talent contest, and I'm doing some photos to promote her different looks. Okay, let's get a nice there. This looks looking a little green, so let's make it a little bit more red. Okay. And to be honest, white balance is definitely the thing that after I've gone through all of the rest of the stuff, I'll probably go back and like readjust the white balance again, because the other stuff tends to affect it a little bit, especially once I start getting into the colors and doing some what's it called, tone splitting, all of that kind of stuff. All right, what are people saying? Okay, nothing else in the chat so far. Okay, are you guys trying to like not distract me? Feel free to comment along. I'm doing this partially for moral support. Also, how's this microphone working out? Do I sound okay? Do I sound really far away? Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Testing. Do I need to put her closer? I don't know. I'm gonna leave her where she was. Okay, back to where we are. So we are working. Other tip: always, if you have a DSLR and you're taking photos, always make sure it's on the raw file setting. They'll take up more space, but it gives you so much more flexibility when you're editing. My first shoot with Utica, by accident, I had it on just like JPEGs, and basically what that's doing is inside your camera, it's just diminishing the quality immediately. So then when you go into an editing program like this, like say you're trying to edit the exposure, right now if I take the exposure down, I'm getting like, I mean, it's really dark, it doesn't look good, but I'm getting a lot of details on her face that weren't there in the overexposed version. Like there's stuff that it's like crinkles and stuff in the drop that I will definitely be getting rid of. But those are all details where in like a JPEG photo, or if you brighten it up, like, oh my gosh, so much other stuff. A JPEG would maybe respond by just like the whole image getting brighter and not necessarily revealing other aspects. So essentially these are holding a lot of data that a JPEG doesn't normally hold. Okay, so let's get it nice and deep. We'll bring back some of these highlights later on. But I just want to make sure the red is nice and red. Okay. Contrast. I'm not really a contrast queen. Let me look at the chat. It was fine where it was. What was the contrast? The exposure, the white balance. Casey, ASMR photo editing. Oh yes. Oh, you were talking about the mic, Andrew. Yes. Okay, great. Hello. Girl, don't start with me. This is very professional. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the contrast, but only a little bit, because this is my ASMR photo editing, if this was not clear. But I am not too much of a contrast queen, because I like adjusting the highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks to achieve contrast instead of using the contrast tool. Sometimes, in fact, I will take the contrast all the way down so that I can just have a clearer image of the details that I'm working with, that I will be adjusting using the aforementioned options and adjustments. How am I doing with the ASMR, Casey? I'm gonna end that segment of this live stream. So yeah, I'm still figuring out my process, but basically, lately I've been really into just kind of taking the contrast all the way down so that I can see like, okay, that's where my highlights are, that's where my shadows are, and then really kind of go for it with the specific like highlight, shadow, whites and blacks adjustments. Let's see what is kind of there. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting a mask on the image to see what is peeking through as like pure white. I will wait until I adjust the whites to do that. Right now I'll just do it by sight. Get this looking kind of nice enough, bright enough. Also need to like look at other parts of this image to really make sure I'm getting a full, probably zoom out a little bit. And if you guys think the image is looking like shit right now, it's because for most of this process, actually this is a saying that we learned in acting school, like a random teacher, like a voice teacher we had in London. She said, you know, when you're being in an acting program and you're training, you're kind of like a car, and when the car goes into the shop for a while they're working on the car, it'll be broken and it won't be able to drive. But that's just because they're replacing the parts and they're making it, you know, much, much better. And by the end of the process, it'll be like better than you could have ever hoped, and you'll be able to drive it out of the shop. But if in the middle of the process it's not functional, it's because you're just laying down a new foundation. So the photo is going to look like shit for parts of the process. You just got to trust that it is all part of the workflow. Mask for mask. Did I say? Oh, layers mask. Yes, truly. I made a mask for mask Photoshop of myself, my face, just for fun, and I showed it to my partner, and he was like, "Ew, I hate your face like that. You look like a Disney villain." I'm like, that's sweet of you. I like my jawline that defined, but thank you. All right. So Casey and Andrew, is there anybody else who's watching who's not in the chat? Is everybody just bored? Is this even working as a thing that's happening? Maybe I'll try doing this when I edit YouTube videos too. Basically, I'm just gonna like have moral support every step of the process because I don't know, very unfocused, and I like having cheerleaders. Okay, so. Gonna drop these shadows a little bit. Nice and dark. And the thing is, between all of these tools with highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, and then the contrast, it's really hard. I mean, the difference between all of them is pretty subtle. Because basically what the highlight and shadows tools are doing is they're literally like bringing up details that are in the image, whereas the whites and blacks are kind of taking your black point and your white point and you're saying everything that is the darkest, it will be this much darker. And then the contrast tool is kind of like a blend between all of these things. So it's just, I don't know, it's a matter of getting a feel for your workflow. This is the most personalized part of this, probably. So let me just, all right, I'm going to get these shadows kind of there. I still want to be able to see all of these like feather details here, but I want it to be dark enough that it's dynamic. And I don't want it to be too detailed that it takes away from, you know, the focus of the image. So I think that's good. You hold Alt in order to see kind of the layer mask of how much is true black. I try and bring it down to about that point where those parts that are actually looking black right now are the true black, and that's basically how you know, okay, the black levels are going to be such that it's as dynamic as possible. If I took it so that there's like way more black, then it would just be like way too, you'd lose a lot of detail. So that's gonna not be how we do it. Just a little bit right there. And then whites, same thing. I want to kind of take it so that the whites are truly white. And this I'm very careful with. I try and have it just be like right on the edge of it. Because if you have a nose that's like, I mean, it's going to look super overexposed. Even if it's like, okay, I'm going to just do a little bit more than this point. Then it's like, oh my god, it's like a vortex. I don't know. The tip of the nose looks like it's not part of a real photograph. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I just try and have it be bloop, a little bit of true white. True white, rather. Okay, time to get into colors. So our levels are looking nice, lighting-wise, I think. It looks a little dark. May take the shadows up a teensy bit. Yeah, that looks a little better. And now we'll get into some color. How are people doing? Andrew would be into a video editing one. Did I bring up some extra shit? Yeah, that nose highlight, Casey. Utica is, I'm telling you, she's like getting better and better every week. I did not bring enough snacks to share. Actually, I'm gonna have to leave for lunch soon. This is just like this was just to make sure that this is all working. But like, okay, bye Andrew. Thank you for sticking around and for your interest. Good luck with your flight delay issues. Where are you traveling, by the way? We'll talk. Have a safe flight. Yes, but yeah, Utica's been improving, and I'm gonna be editing this and another image for like the rest of the afternoon. But I do have to eat something soon that's not just like this banana. So I will be going after I'm done doing just like the photo prep for this. Then we'll get into the fun stuff, which is like retouching, reshaping, and then background retouching, which is like my least favorite part. But yeah, I could easily like do a 10-hour photo editing stream, which I know everyone would be super into. Oh, I think this is streaming on YouTube too. I should check those comments. Ew. Okay, let's see. YouTube. Here we are. Log on. And then go to my... Gosh, how do you get to this lately? I don't know. I think it's like in the Creator Studio. YouTube makes it so confusing. And then I go to events, live streaming. Does it recognize that I'm live streaming right now from you now? I wonder. Boop a doop boop 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 boop. Is it gonna load? What's happening? Why are we taking so long, YouTube? Events. Oh no. Oh, it just okay. I'm just gonna let it load and work on my photo over here. Alright, so clarity is something that I don't use too much of. If anything, I'm gonna clarify more. Because, I mean, basically you could be like, oh, I'm just gonna like lower the clarity as much as possible so all those wrinkles go away. But at the same time, you're gonna be losing a lot of detail in the face. And like, you don't want that. So we're going to instead add some clarity. And it's going to look super rough for now, but we're going to go through in Photoshop and we're going to smooth out all the wrinkles and dodge and burn the face, and then at the end of the day you'll end up with a still smooth photo but also much clearer and sharper, and it's going to take like 4 times as long, and that's what we do for quality. So get this to be nice and clear. We don't want it to be like scary clear because then it just looks unnatural. But usually somewhere in like the 20s is nice. Just adds a nice little pop. And then get back out so we can do color. Oh, my YouTube thing loaded. Go to events. Here we are. Live control room. What does that mean? Does it give me like just the chat and what's happening? You're live. I know I'm live, YouTube. Thank you. My health is good. Oh, it's a 480p stream. That's what, okay, got it. And then where is the chat? So do I just have to go to the stream in order to see the chat? Or, oh, here we are, I think. Watching from, okay, so Andrew Walker... Flight is delayed. So this is the actual chat. Ethan, I see your comment now if you're still watching on YouTube. So, hello Ethan Crazy TV. Thank you for the compliments on my videos. I've just made the trek to the YouTube chat. Control room is for changing cams. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate the tip. Do you make YouTube videos, Casey? What do you make videos about? It sounds like you have experience live streaming. Alright, so back to the photo. I usually adjust the vibrance more than the saturation. With saturation, I find the colors get pretty fakey, but if I can't get all the way there with vibrance, like I wouldn't want to put it at 100, then I would maybe do a combination of like, okay, vibrance is taking me almost all the way there, but I'm just going to have a teeny bit of saturation just to add some pop to the color. that said, I mean, given a big background like this red, I probably will already end up adjusting that color separately by quick selecting the background and using a mask. So what I'm doing with these edits, I'm focusing on the subject. That's like the top priority. And as far as vibrance goes, I could actually probably use a little bit more. Really get that green to pop. For that 80. Yeah, like this doesn't need to be so intense. Just maybe like 10 color saturation. I think that's dramatic enough. Red is pretty intense, but I can always take that down by splitting the colors, so I don't do shit with the curve until I'm doing dodging and burning. Because I've already really done like highlights, lights, darks, shadows. I already did that in the basic adjustments. So I'm not gonna play with that too much. It's looking dark again because of my adjustment to the vibrancy. So I'm gonna once again bring up the shadows a little bit. And now that I've brought up the shadows, I'm gonna make sure that my blacks are doing alright. Just a little bit more of a pop of the blacks. So I'm always kind of going back and forth and tweaking things. Like the white balance, I'll probably take out some of the green because it's looking green now. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Maybe it's looking a little yellow actually. So yeah, let's make it a little colder. And then make it a little bit more magenta-y. Meh. It can be a little warmer. Casey, you used to make videos, but now you spend most of your YouTube time managing other people's channels. Really? Do you work for like a MCN or something like that? You'll run control room, do subtitles for videos. That sounds like an awesome job. I'm applying for a few positions that are kind of similar to that. Not as much on the production side, although I would love to. But it's more for right now on like the optimization strategy side of things. I would love to like work one-on-one with a creator and just like make them have a kick-ass YouTube channel. Because I find that when I'm working on stuff that's not me, like this picture, it's a lot easier for me to like be objective and make quick decisions and do my best work. When it's personal, it's much harder to be objective. Okay, so we're moving on to, oh, this is sharpening. Okay. Let's get, where are we? Is this applying this, or? Let's give it a decent sharpen. I usually sharpen most of my stuff just to give Photoshop more to work with. I know a lot of people are kind of against photo sharpening. They just think that it like deteriorates the quality. But I find as long as you're not like dragging it to full and it looks like that, which looks like shit, I usually keep it like below the 60 range is sort of my max amount. And then I try to get the radius as in focus as possible. So, oh, why isn't it doing full res? It doesn't look like it's doing full res at least. So the radius can be, let's see. Around 1, it's probably the sharpest. Maybe like 1.3, 1.2. Yeah. Detail. What does this do? Oh, this just is another way of sharpening. Fun times when I'm still figuring out everything I'm doing. And then masking, which I don't use. I don't really use like masking or noise reduction with sharpening because that literally does erase pixels. If I'm going to like make something smoother, I would rather use a clone stamp or something that'll maintain a sense of like texture and pixel density. You now says a new person is watching. Anonymous. All right, so we've got it a little sharper. This detail all looks nice. From far away it'll look much, yeah. Yay! Let's get to colors! Yeah! So this is like one of my fave parts of this process, because you can separate, you can change the hues, saturation, luminance, which is how light it is. And so I can literally take all the reds in the photo and be like, I want to make them pink. I want to make them yellow. And it's just like, woo! She's at a disco. The lights are flashing around. It's just like a really cool way to have control over your image. Because that way you can... And you can really just, like, if I think the red is popping too much, which it is, I can just be like, I want to take down the saturation of the red, and it doesn't affect really anything else other than shades of red. Be really dramatic. She looks like she's backlit, if that's the case. It looks nice with magenta. Thank you. I do want to stick to the concept of it being a true red, but it will be a bit more magenta than it is in the original photo, because if you really look closely, this is the original, or the original with vibrancy boosted, and it's a little orange. I really want it to be like a blood red, really kind of dynamic, gothic, spooky, Halloween-y. Utica is a crow in this picture. It was for the Barnyard Animal Challenge. So we're gonna have it be probably like around there. Yeah, because if I go any more, then it's like pink. Which does look pretty cool. But for the sake of this concept, we're gonna be going with a red. Alright, so that's good. I'll probably take the luminance down more than the saturation, so that it's really dark. So let's make it like... That way it doesn't look so bright and cheesy. Maybe around 15. And then take the saturation down just a tad, like -5. Meh. Now it's looking pink. And all of this is very subjective, so it's a lot of what you're watching now, with me just looking at the photo really closely and just kind of trying to figure out what I like, what I don't like. Sometimes I need to take a break from it and just reevaluate. Maybe it does need to be a little bit less magenta-y. What's tough is that this drop was pretty transparent, as you can see. So like all of this stuff with the building peeking through is definitely throwing off my perception. And that's all going to be gone. Obviously, I'm going to do a lot of clone stamping, get rid of that. But just figuring out the base red, that side by side is throwing me off. And now I'm tweaking the orange, and it's also affecting the drop. So actually a bit of this will probably help out with getting rid of the transparency if I can get them to color match. Not completely, but a little bit at least. Okay, so let's get the oranges to be... because this isn't really affecting much on her face, so I can tweak it. Sometimes if you're adjusting just for the background, then you'll find that like on your subject, it's made their coloring really weird. So like if this orange, for instance, was really, really tweaked one way or the other, it would be like, oh, she's green. That's not what I'm trying to do. But basically anything before I get to like 40 is pretty okay. And then I can adjust as I need to on the face itself. So let's do a good like 35 and see how that does with the background. I mean, her face is soups red, but Hi Eric, good to see ya. And hi James Barty. You thought she was a gothic turkey, Casey. New. She is a crow. My friend Foster said that she should have been a big black cock. As in, like, that's, you know, barnyard animal. Alright, so background looks fine. I'm over it. Let's adjust yellows. What in this picture is yellow? Oh, the leaves are yellow. So in order to figure out what this is going to affect, I just drag the hue this way and that way, and I see what changes. And this is the leaves, and I do want them to be much more green. I may literally just pull this to full 100. I'll take it to 80. I'm usually scared of 100% anything in photo editing, because I just feel like it's going to mean something will end up looking messed up and I won't notice. So with green again, I'm also going to, and green might start to affect her hair and stuff. So I'll zoom in, look at these green feathers, blue hair moment. Just try and tweak this to get it how I want. And it's looking like this is going to be more saturated if I up the hue. So let's put it at like 35. Aqua. This is certainly going to affect the hair. Now, what do I like better? Usually, I'm trying to get the image to be as close to, like, real as possible, as close to, I guess, if you were to, like, look at this image with your real human eyes on, like, the perfect sunny day with perfect lighting, that would be the color I'm going for. But sometimes with stuff like this hair, and the way that it contrasts with the red, this is a little bit more subjective, because I'm thinking, like, I mean, this and this, well, not the extremes, but like that and that are kind of different versions of the same thing. I mean, it's technically like this is a blue and this is more of a turquoise, but at the end of the day, the deciding factor is going to be what contrasts the best with the backdrop for me. And for my money, I'm going to go more on the aqua side of things, because I think that's far more interesting. The blue is just a little bit too, I don't know, not enough of a contrast. Okay, so let's get that kind of, that's nice. And then there's really not too much blue in this. The black will probably carry some of the blue and purple. And again, the hair is catching a lot of that blue adjustment, so I could make it more turquoise. I don't want to go overboard and make it look unnatural. So I may actually add some more blue back in. Okay. Might bring this a little bit back to being blue so it looks more natural. It's good. Purples, the blacks are definitely going to respond to this. Yeah. So if you see, this chest section looks super pink, or super, I mean, that's closer to black. It's a little green, which is kind of odd, but yeah, when I leave it in the middle, it's pretty purple. So I'm going to make this as close to black as I can. Wonder if I adjust it using the magenta slider instead. Bye, Eric. Thanks for hopping by. Is anybody, oh, hey, Peter Jacob is on, good to see you. Thank you. I hope you're well as well. I'm doing all right. Right now I'm wondering if this is entertaining for anybody, because it's literally just me working and doing the work that I actually need to do. But hopefully, I feel like I would want to watch this from a creator who I followed. Probably somebody more skilled at photo editing, if I'm going to be completely honest. But for any of those nerds out there, I figured I'll share this. If a few people watch it, that's better than none, and stakes are not super high. That said, I should probably go and eat something, because it's now getting into the later afternoon, and I have not had lunch. So I'll be back on later this afternoon once I've eaten and stuff, if any of you come back and hang out. But yeah, I'll just see the things I keep saying. I'll just finish this and then, but this stuff always takes longer than I think it's going to. So I should just like discipline with myself and say, I'm going to say goodbye for now, drop this for a moment, get food, revisit it. I'm sure I'll work much more quickly once I'm not working on it. Empty stomach. So, thank you guys so much for coming along. And, I mean, did you guys like this? Somebody respond in the chat so I can know for next time. And thank you, James, and Eric, and Casey, and Ernest, and Peter, and Ethan, Andrew, who already left. All of y'all are sweet. All right. Cool. See y'all soon. Peace out.